Well, he's not only the guy with the coolest pants in the room every time I see him, he's certainly got some incredible stuff to say as well. Joining us now to speak a little bit more about the youth and where they're at is a CEO at HDI Youth, Bongani Chinkanda. And it's quite a big topic, actually, the youth and where they're at. Because is it as easy to gauge where the youth are at in 2018 as it may have been to put them in a box in sort of 2004?
So I think... Morning.
Yeah.
I like the pants joke. So it's easier now, and it's getting better and better because of digital, I guess. There's many proof points that you can use, many tools that you can use. You can use Google, you can use Facebook, you can use social listening to get a sort of a feel of what youth are doing. So when you look back to 2014, it was mostly sort of manual, hugely cumbersome exercise, but now it's not. And I think it's going to get better and better. And when we start, when you start looking to the future, we're even going to get to a point where you start bucketing them in tribes, and even getting to the point of micro moments. So it is getting better and better.
And in terms of brands sort of being comfortable with the tools that digital provides, and not being intimidated, because digital can sometimes be quite intimidating. Yeah. Where are brands in South Africa at with that?
I think there's some brands that are getting it right. So I'll use an example of Castle Light. A couple of months ago, they had a concert, and you could stream live into the concert. So you didn't have to be present, and they created content around it. And obviously, they got the viewership was larger than people at the concert. And then there's some brands that are just battling in terms of the sort of content, not understanding different platforms. So I see a lot of banks battling to try and fit into the youth space using digital, and they're really battling, because when you look at a bank, the one huge thing that they always battle is that they've got one social handle, and on that handle they have to communicate youth, they have to communicate home loans, they have to communicate insurance. So they tend to lose a narrative when they're speaking to youth.
I mean, when we speak about the effect of digital, do we have any idea yet on what that is? Are we at a point where we're able to kind of analyze the impacts of digital? Will we only be able to tell years and years down the line what digital has done in a youth sort of context? Or are we starting to really see the impact of it and the effect of it?
So I'll use a political example. So when you think of Nelson Mandela, since Mandela Month, in 1948, when they started the Youth League, literally there was a bunch of guys in Soweto. It probably must have taken 2 years for other people to hear that the Youth League has formed. But when you bring it back to 2018, imagine if they had formed it. Immediately there would have been hashtags. It would have spread like wildfire. I don't think apartheid would have lasted the way that it lasted. So when you think about digital tends to disseminate information much quicker, for good or for bad. I look at yesterday, I was actually quite shocked and taken aback how Twitter has become a very negative space. When you think of Nomza Mombata, right? She's on a magazine of Cosmo. Instead of a young black girl being celebrated, people on Twitter are busy spreading negative things about her. So it's difficult for brands to navigate the digital space, and it's about you have to be very strategic in terms of the content that you're seeding, and how you're responding back to the negative narrative or the positive narrative.
So, Bongani, the million-dollar question, the question that every brand in the country asks you specifically as the CEO of HDI Youth, just the secret to success in connecting with youth in this digital cluttered age, just a simple philosophy to try and employ in everything that you're doing.
So we've got what we call the 5 engagement pillars when it comes to youth. So brands need to have purpose. When you look at it, again, using SAB as an example, who would have thought Carling Black Label would be talking about the child and women abuse, right? It's about understanding route to market. So youth are not just in Maboneng. I always tell you, it's like everybody saying they want to talk to black consumers, they go to Soweto. Youth are in many different channels, and you need to understand where to speak to them. It's either in mall, online, or in universities or in schools. The other one is about being consistent and authentic. You really have to stick to your brand. Youth are able to see beyond the facade. So the one day this influencer is not driving a Bentley, tomorrow he's got 2. I mean, they can see through that. The other one is about being hungry and being curious, and the last one is about locating your brand in youth culture. And I think that's a fundamental thing that we believe at HDI, that brands need to move at the speed of culture. and you need to be part of youth culture, not imposing or speaking to youth.
Not just the guy with the cool pants, he's certainly got some incredible insights too. Bongani, thank you so much for joining us to speak about where the young people are at. That there is a CEO at HDI Youth, Bongani Chinkanda. Bongani, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, brother.